Hi guys, hey Professor Skoy. I hope all is well with everyone. Happy holidays to everyone. Um, as some of you may know, and Professor Skoy, I'm Adam Herrera. Um, I currently work as a paraprofessional in a pre-kindergarten class. Um, I'm studying early childhood from pre-K to second grade with a dual certification in special education at Toro College. I've been working as a para for 3 years in pre-K and also in fourth grade. And I really enjoy it, and I love the kids. Um, Now talking about pre-K, I decided to do my curriculum-based dynamic assessment on a student that was in pre-K coming out of a Head Start facility. I chose a 5-year-old student named Derek Sanderson. Um, at the time of the pre-test, the student was struggling with counting and cardinality and one-to-one correspondence. And what I mean by one-to-one correspondence is having one and understanding that one counter represents one. Derek was only able to have one-to-one correspondence for numerals 1 to 3. That was a strength of his, but his weaknesses at at the time of his pre-testing, he wasn't able to go up to numbers 1 to 5 or numbers 1 to 8. And at the time, most students at his at his age were able to do that. So we decided to do an intervention and do the dynamic assessment. The dynamic assessment I chose was a math activity, and the math activity would focus on the objectives of counting and cardinality, one-to-one correspondence, and understanding numerals from 1 to 8. When Derek counted, I wanted him to understand that this represented one. When he sees, when he saw that one counted, he could understand that this was one. When he sees two counters, he would know that when he sees a number two, that this represented two counters. So that was a focus in the lesson. During the mediation, we played the pizza game. I started off with the story. I at the time had a chef hat, put on my chef hat, and I told Derek that he would help assist me in being a chef, and we were going to make pizza for our friends and families for a party. Derek was so excited, he was thrilled that he would be participating. I also made him a chef hat. He was enthusiastic about it. We started off slowly and we made pizzas. You know, each pizza had counter spaces for Derek to focus on the counters. So in the beginning, I started off slow with Derek to gauge his level and also based on the knowledge I had from his pre-testing. So I would ask Derek, could you make your pizza look like my pizza? And then I started off slowly. I placed two counters on my pizza. And I asked Derek, could you make your pizza look like my pizza? We need two pizzas, Derek. Our friends are hungry and they want two slices of pizza. So Derek would take his pizza that we made and he would put one pepperoni topping on the space. And if Derek was correct, I'm like, well done. Our pizza is ready, hot, and ready to go to be eaten. But if Derek struggled and had an error with the pizza, I would take the whole pepperoni toppings off, and we would count together. We would say, we need two toppings, one, two, and then we would look at my pizza, and 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 it showed that my pizza looks like your pizza. So Derek went a couple of rounds, and he struggled a little bit, but after a couple of rounds, he started to understanding the concept. And what I did was increase the number of pepperoni counter toppings on the pizza. I said, Derek, could you make your pizza look like my pizza? So if I had 4 toppings, hard to show for a guy, sorry. But I would put 4 toppings on the pizza and ask him, could he make his pizza look like mine? After a few rounds, Derek understood that I stopped. Like since he wasn't struggling anymore with him showing me what my pizza looked like, he would I would ask, I need a pizza, Derek, ready hot in the oven for I need 4 pepperoni toppings on that pizza. And he was ready by himself. He was able to put 4 pepperoni toppings. And I asked Derek, how do you know? And Derek would say, because I counted or because I know. And most of the time, that's the response I got from him. So I said, let's check to make sure we got the right number of pepperoni toppings. And together, we took the pepperoni toppings and we counted them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. And after doing this a number of times, Derek was able to understand that each pepperoni topping represented a numeral, and he was able to understand that the that the number I gave him represented the number I showed. I kept these counters out to show him the number that matched with the counter. So if I asked him to make 4 pepperoni toppings on the pizza, at the end I showed him this is the number 4. You just placed 4 pepperoni toppings on your pizza. You know, and doing this lesson, it's fun because I was, if kids struggle, I was able to use less counters, 1 to 3. I was also used my counter cards. If they struggled, and actually if they could not place the pepperonis on the top on the pizza itself, I would have them place it on here so they could visually see that this represents the number 1. And when if kids like excelled, in the case of Derek, as it moved to post testing, Derek was able to do higher numbers. He understood that he could do 5, 6, 7, 8, and that was our goal. Our goal was for him to move on to numbers 1 to 10, and at the end of pre-K, move on for numbers beyond that, 1 to 20, if he could do that. So Derek, in the post testing, was definitely able to move forward and do those numbers. But at the same time, it wasn't just at school that he focused on the lesson. He was able to, at home, we gave parents plates and we gave them counters. So at home, that he was able to reinforce what we did in that dynamic assessment, and the mediation was going to be the same at home to strengthen those weaknesses. It's very important that what we do at school is being taught at home, and Derek would definitely get that reinforcement at home. So we taught the parents a lesson, and parents were able to easily, it's very cheap. You get a paper plate, you draw a pizza, you get some counters, and you place them on them. There's a lot of different types of games you could play with this pizza game for counting and cardinality. Another game that I wanted to use when I talked about my analysis of an intervention is called How Many Now. I will show Derek how many pizza toppings you see, and show them. And I would ask him, can you show how many fingers? Show me with your fingers how many pepperoni toppings did you see? And he could go too. This is a future post-test activity that I would like to use for Derek once he understood how to make pizzas. And overall, the dynamics assessment was successful. Derek definitely learned a lot. And he made small steps in each activity. He didn't learn. In the first activity, he went from 1 to 3 from his pre-test, and he was able to know 1 to 4 consistently. The next testing, he was able to find out more about other numbers, 1 to 5, 1 to 6, 1 to 7, and that's what we want to see. We want to see him make progress and get him on track. So when he gets to kindergarten, he was already counting, and he understood what the numbers meant and what they represent, and understand that 1-to-1 correspondence, that when I show the number card 1, that this is 1. And Derek definitely made steps in doing so. And overall, like I said, I found that doing this assessment, it helped me with my instruction, because I work at pre-K, and I found that I would be able to utilize this game in class in a real setting, especially in a small group setting, working with my students. And I feel like using manipulatives, as in like pizza. Kids love pizza, and if they don't like pizza, you can use cookies or chocolate chips, something that would engage their mind and stimulate their mind. And at the same time, giving that positive feedback when they did a good job. That's something that I stressed inside my lesson plan. Positive feedback is important. You want to keep him in a positive mind frame, wanting to come back to the activity for future post-testing examinations. I thank you guys for listening. I wish you guys the best over the holidays. And Professor Scoy, I really enjoyed this class because I felt like I'm going to be able to use a lot from what I learned in this class and hands-on utilize this in the classroom with my students when I get to the point to being a full-time teacher. All right, take care. Goodbye.